This is the story about a house on a hill once frequented by a so-called eccentric Englishwoman named Lady Daphne Barnes, who built her property overlooking the settlements of Belobaias, Chiklos and Kyrenia on the northern coast of Cyprus. This mini-documentary hopes to challenge the conjecture linked to the house and the tales behind it. Thorough research from a variety of sources was carried out to build a picture of the owner, Lady Daphne Barnes, and to put to rest speculation, hearsay and gossip about a unique building nestled in the Kyrenia Mountain Range. You cannot visit the house on the hill, as it is currently in a military area and was also referred to for a time as Makarios' house by the local population. Archbishop Makarios III would become the first president of the Republic of Cyprus in 1960 and was friends with Lady Daphne Barnes. It is stated that when Barnes left the island in the 1960s during the intercommunal troubles, she left it in the charge of the president. It was no secret that Makarios had clashed with members of the church in the area over policies related to Cyprus. Written information claimed the house was also a reminder to the Greek Orthodox clergy in the Kyrenia district below that Makarios was in charge and that he was watching. This is the story of the house on the hill.
A researcher's interest in the house started a few years ago. It was in an intriguing location and could only be accessed by back roads away from the hubbub of the island's main automated arteries. Whoever had constructed the house wanted it away from Cypriot town and village life, with stunning views of the Mediterranean. Initial searches online proved inconclusive regarding its actual history. One person we spoke to claimed that the house was designed and built by an English woman and her Algerian nobleman husband. They had built the property in the 1940s. It resembled a castle in the Algerian style. The husband stated that the north coast of Algeria resembled Kyrenia, with its lush green mountains, only bigger.
When her husband died, Lady Daphne Barnes continued living there with 100+ cats. She was a very eccentric lady and was known as the Cat Lady. Another person who had posted on social media regarding information related to the house on the hill dismissed claims that it was initially an Ottoman palace. The poster stated, "History writers have no need for the truth." He stated that he had met Lady Daphne Barnes at the property alongside a local police chief and his children in the 1950s. He backed up the claims that the house was overrun with cats. According to records from the Kyrenia Archives Office, plans for the property were submitted in the late 1940s, with construction being completed in the early 1950s. The house today can be viewed from scenic rest spots along the Kyrenia to Nicosia main road.
The story of Lady Daphne Barnes begins in England. She was born in Chelsea, London on the 17th of March 1903. Daphne was the daughter of Sir Richard James Graham and Lady Mabel Cynthia Duncombe. They were known as the Grahams of Netherby and were regarded as one of the great families of Cumberland, northwest England. She was also a descendant of the famous playwright Richard Brinsley Sheridan. By 1911, the family lived here at 32 Bryanston Square, Marylebone, London. She was 8 years old, and the property also housed the family's servants. Daphne Graham wanted to be an actress, and in fact that's just what she became. Her life changed in 1922 when she entered R.A.D.A, the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art in central London. It had gained its Royal Commission 2 years earlier, thanks to the tutelage of Daphne Barnes, who had taken over the custodianship of the renowned Arts Institute in 1909. Daphne Graham graduated from R.A.D.A in 1924 and joined a touring acting academy. She starred at the Opera House in Southport as Marie in It Pays to Advertise. A year later, she appeared in The Letter of the Law, written by R.A.D.A head Daphne Barnes. Daphne played the part of the Honourable Penelope Foxglove. She had obviously caught the eye of the R.A.D.A principal, and in the same year, 1925, she married Kenneth Barnes. She was 22 years old at the time, whilst Kenneth was over 20 years her senior. They married at a church in North London. R.A.D.A still exists today, and some of its famous alumni includes Vivien Leigh, Richard Attenborough, Robert Shaw, Glenda Jackson, Anthony Hopkins.
Further theatre acting assignments followed across London. She would perform under the stage name of Mary Sheridan, acknowledging her links to the famous Anglo-Irish playwright Richard Brinsley Sheridan. In December 1926, a son arrived, Michael Ralph Barnes. He would later be sent to a boarding school in Surrey. Research showed that Kenneth and Daphne were keen travellers, but also wanted to set up a home in the UK. They then built a house in Kingston Gorse, Sussex, on the south coast of England and named it Springtide. According to Kenneth Barnes' autobiography, Welcome, Good Friends, proceeds from a pearl necklace bequeathed to Daphne by her mother allowed her to buy a plot of land in Kingston Gorse, Sussex. The house was built at a cost of £1,600, approximately £85,000 in today's money. Their house was later demolished to make way for a new build. The area was popular with people from the stage, and regular parties for family and friends were held until the start of World War II.
It appears that Daphne Barnes, aka Mary Sheridan's, only screen role came in 1934 when she played the part of Tilda in the British musical Over the Garden Wall. This is the only known recording of her to date.
have to go to Auntie for everything I need. She's my trustee, but she won't trust me, which is all very wrong indeed. I'll have to handle Auntie in quite a tactful way. I rather think I shall have one drink and then go to her and say, "You're charming, Auntie, I like you, I do. But I do think I ought to have a big enough allowance to be able to be nice to you." I say, have you got a match yet? Hello, Bunny, you here? Yes. I say, you haven't really kidnapped a girl, have you? What? No. Do you know your aunt's here? My head. Where are you going? I'm going up to bed. But you're not sleeping up there, are you? Yeah, no. Then what are you going up that way for? Well...
Bunny, you here?
Yes.
But the police are looking for you.
The what?
The old bird next door's applied for police protection.
Oh, that has done it. Don't worry, old man. We'll keep it quiet, won't we, maybe?
I shan't say a word.
Good. Then if you'll excuse me...
Bunny!
Yes?
Bunny, you here?
No.
Bunny? Where's this girl you ran away with?
She's here. He says she's his sister, but she's not his sister. I know who they are. They're the abductors. But I was the first to tell the police, and I get the reward.
Oh, Lord, he's phoned the police. What are you going to do, Bunny? What am I going to do? What do you think I'm going to do? You think I'm just going to...
Ah, the police. You're just in time. They're both here. It was me who gave the information, and it's me who gets the £25.
Off a mo. We don't rush things like that in the force.
In 1938, Kenneth Barnes became Sir Kenneth for his efforts at R.A.D.A. This meant that his wife would receive a title too, and would thereafter be known as Lady Daphne Barnes. Unfortunately, war appeared on the horizon and Lady Daphne Barnes put her acting career on hold. She joined Faney, first aid nursing yeomanry, then later transferred over to the W.A.A.F.
The Women's Auxiliary Air Force, which is the youngest of the three women's services, having been formed last summer, is, as you can see, a very smart and efficient organisation. There are, of course, the usual parades and duties to be done. These are part of the routine.
Lady Daphne Barnes rose to the rank of Wing Commander and later became an Assistant Section Officer in the Women's Auxiliary Air Force, W.A.A.F. During this time, Lady Daphne would be stationed in places such as Cheshire and Scotland. Later, her role in the British military wouldn't go unnoticed by the colonial authorities in Cyprus.
When the war ended in 1945, Lady Daphne Barnes would continue her love of travelling. So much so that she identified a site near W.A.A.F and the Chiklos Valley in the northern part of Cyprus to build a house with stunning views of the mountains, the town of Kyrenia and the Mediterranean Sea. As mentioned earlier, plans were submitted to the Kyrenia Land Registry and the house on the hill, as it would become known, began being constructed. Tales of Algerian husbands and Ottoman relics would then become questionable. Conjecture Cyprus indeed. By the early 1950s, Lady Daphne and her son would use their new island home as a place of convalescence. Her son, Michael Barnes, who had served in the British military, became ill, and it was hoped that a combination of sea and mountain air on foreign climes would benefit him. The house on the hill was not far from the village of W.A.A.F. This small settlement was famous for its ancient abbey, and where at the same time British writer Lawrence Durrell wrote an autobiography about his time spent in the village under the backdrop of tensions and strife between the island's two communities. Durrell's book would be a precursor of what was to come on the island in the coming years. It would be known as Bitter Lemons and would eventually be published in 1957. Today, Durrell's legacy is still remembered in the village, but in the commercial sense.
The 1950s was a challenging time for Lady Daphne Barnes. In 1952, her son Michael suddenly passed away in his mid-20s. It was mentioned in a Turkish media report on the house that it was passed on to Archbishop Makarios III soon after. Maybe the loss of her son was too much for Daphne and she wanted out of Cyprus and passed it on to the future president for safeguarding. 3 years later, Sir Kenneth Barnes retired and the role of Principal of R.A.D.A went to John Fernald, a West London producer and theatre director of the London's Art Theatre. Then sadly, 2 years later, Sir Kenneth passed away at the age of 79. He died at the family home Spring Tide in Kingston Gorse, Sussex. Soon after, the property was sold by Lady Daphne Barnes. Both Sir Kenneth Barnes and son Michael are buried in Hurley Cemetery in Berkshire. Electoral records from Cyprus showed that she was living in Bellebias in 1959. Was this at the house on the hill or nearby? During this time, there were also allegations of financial mismanagement on the part of Lady Daphne Barnes, and this was confirmed from someone who knew her. He stated that she got into monetary difficulties and came to a local Turkish Cypriot Austrian doctor for help. The doctor had his own money troubles, as he had just opened his clinic in 1955 and then took out a loan of 1,000 Cyprus pounds to lend her. She then disappeared with the cash. The doctor then ended up having to pay the interest rates to the bank who had lent him the money. It was a large amount in those days. After a year or so, Lady Daphne Barnes returned to Cyprus and visited the doctor in his clinic with a bag full of money. She was very grateful and eventually became good friends with the family. The doctor and his family moved nearby to her and they socialised together. The acquaintance stipulated that her house on the hill was overrun with cats, nearing 100 apparently. This may have given rise to her being known as the eccentric cat lady.
It had been mentioned that Lady Daphne Barnes was very well connected with the political elite of the time, including Archbishop Makarios III, who would often visit her for tea. Online documentation stated that Makarios planned to use the house as a summer home and to hold international conferences there. It is also believed that Makarios received an ornament for the house on the hill from notorious arms smuggler Pablo Pavlidis. The Greek-Italian was also a lawyer to Makarios and was known in Cypriot political circles during the 1950s. However, the house on the hill would eventually be taken over by the Cyprus National Guard as an officers' club, as later video evidence will show. According to research, Lady Daphne Barnes left Cyprus briefly due to the intercommunal fighting of the 1960s and went with a friend to Jamaica. She was still a keen traveller during this period.
Fast forward to 1970 and records showed that she was living back in London. Her address was 14 Hillesley Road in Notting Hill, London.
Online research claimed that she was back in the Eastern Mediterranean during the Cyprus crisis of 1974. If she wasn't living in the house on the hill, she was probably a guest of friends in Cyprus, possibly in Belabais. According to social media, it was believed that she was evacuated on the British ship HMS Andromeda as part of the UK's Operation Mercy mission during the summer of 1974. British and foreign expats and holidaymakers were taken to special helicopter pickup points along Cyprus's northern coast and flown out to waiting ships. The British military was supported by UN personnel during the operation. Not far from the house on the hill was the UN base at Chiklos, and some of the foreigners evacuated in mid-July 1974 were placed here before they were given the all-clear to depart. Maybe Lady Daphne Barnes somehow made it to Chiklos and was one of the lucky ones to get off the island. One thing is for sure, she didn't return to Cyprus. A video about Britain's Operation Mercy features on this channel. Please follow the link. The Kuis eventually relinquished their role and a ceasefire came into play between the warring sides. Film evidence from the time in 1974 clearly showed that the house on the hill had been occupied by the Cypriot National Guard. What Lady Daphne Barnes thought about her island home being used by the military is open to question. However, the property was eventually captured by Turkish troops, who then stationed soldiers there. It was again reported that the house on the hill was Makarios' summer residence. A further story about the house came to light when Suleiman Sevren and Yashar Çelik from Yalova, near Istanbul, Turkey, recalled their time at the residence. The two Turkish soldiers' duties included guarding the house on the hill post-1974. Both men returned to the house in 2022 and shared their memories of that time. We did military service here at the house under very difficult conditions. It was not like it is today. We didn't have a toilet or a place to take a shower. We were taking our showers outside. But despite those difficult conditions, we were all proud.
What of Lady Daphne Barnes, this so-called eccentric Englishwoman who was a lover of felines and canines, who became an actor, wife and mother, and who supposedly left her house to a politician? She sadly passed away in September 1982. Barnes was then living in Richmond, Yorkshire, back in the UK. It was initially claimed that she was buried in Wales, but our research discovered that she was in fact buried alongside her husband and son in Hurley Cemetery, Berkshire, England. Her house still stands, with some of the original furniture and ornaments that she purchased remaining.
In 1995, the house and many nearby properties succumbed to a vicious forest and wildfire that engulfed the Kyrenia Mountain Range close by. Lady Daphne Barnes' house was renovated and given a new name, the Suleiman Pasha Mansion. Maybe one day the house will be open to the public, but for now it is out of bounds. However, Lady Daphne Barnes' legacy still prevails in this little corner of Cyprus. This was the story of the house on the hill.
Is it the bird you're looking at? Eh? Is it the bird you're looking at? Eh? What a strange sound that is. Is it the bird you're seeing? Ready? Oh, they're up there, haven't they?